So I got cut off, but what I was saying is be patient for your mate. Um, there's a comfort in having that alone time, a comfort in knowing yourself and who you are and who you were created to be. We grow astronomically when we are learning ourselves. See, a lot of times when we're alone and we hurt, because the hurt is there. I'm not saying it's not there. The hurt is there. We look in other ways. We go to other vices. Shopping. It was my number one thing. I was absolutely the emotional shopper. So I would get hurt. I would go spend money. I would spend bill money. I would hustle up money. I wouldn't borrow money. I would always make my own money, but it wasn't my money to spend because I still had mortgage, I still had lights, I still had food, I still had things that had to be done. But I would spend that money on things that I did not necessarily need because it filled a pain in me. What we have to do and understand is that once you do whatever your vice is, whether it's shopping, eating, not eating, because people do that too, drugs, drinking, sex, whatever that vice is that fills you at that time is temporary. It's temporary. So we have to learn how to get past that hurt and pain, ignore that vice, don't do it, and figure out the real issue, the deep root cause of what's going on. Because there's something deeper there that you know, the pain is so bothersome that you want to block it out because that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to block out the pain. But once you are done with that vice, you can only shop for so long. You can only eat for so long. You can only drink for so long. You can only have sex for so long. Everything that you do, you can only do it for so long. And then you're left to think about what hurt you, and that pain settles right back in. And that's when it starts playing with your mind. And some people think it's better not to be here. And some people go into a deep depression or stress, which causes anxiety in a different way. See, everything that goes on with our body starts with a feeling. It can make you sick. So everything you feel affects your body. So just know that being patient and learning yourself is something that's a big deal. And I'm not just, I'm speaking because it's something that I've done, I've been through. I'm not saying, hey, do this, and I haven't done it. See, I spend a lot of time alone. I spend a lot of time alone because in that quiet time is where I can figure out in my mind things that need to be done and things that I need to get rid of. Everybody doesn't work that way, and I'm not saying that it's for everybody. I'm telling you that learn yourself first, because when you learn yourself first, you'll accept what you should and should not. Because oftentimes when we don't truly know ourselves, we accept things that we shouldn't from family members, friends, co-workers, whoever. We accept things that we shouldn't because we haven't been given the voice, the okay to say, you know what, that's not for me. I'm not going to allow you to do this to me. I'll bow out gracefully and say no. That's what we haven't given ourselves. And somewhere along the line of growing up, it's been taken from a lot of us. And for the ones who it hasn't ever been taken from, great. But I tell you, confidence starts at home. Confidence in speaking your mind, your truth, your peace starts at home. And when that voice is taken from you, you don't know how to use it as an adult. There's really a few type of people. You have your fighters, you have your settlers, and then you have those people who are just naturally confident in themselves that they will and will not accept what they will, and it's not an argument. It's not a aggressive thing. It's just a no, that's not for me. And they move on. And no seems to be a hard word for us. Like, it seems to be like a bad word. But no is okay. And you have to understand that putting that boundary and that limit up is okay. See, I turn my phone off after a certain time. I don't allow people to come to my house after a certain time or before a certain time. And I'm starting to realize that now I have to set a boundary that you cannot get in touch with me in the morning before a certain time. Because in my mornings, I have meditation, I have prayer, I have yoga, I have things that I do to prepare myself to step out into the world and deal with people. See, people will go out into the world any kind of way, and as soon as something that they don't like irritates them, their whole day is thrown off. See, my whole day is not thrown off by one little thing because I've prepared my mind to deal with people of the day, because everybody is not like you. You cannot expect people to do what you would do because they're not like you. They wasn't raised like you. They haven't been through what you've been through. They don't know where you're coming from, and they don't know your pain. Bottom line, they don't know your pain. And so they will not react or behave the way that you do because they are not you. God did not create us all to be running around here the same, doing the same thing at the same time. That's not who we are. Imagine how the world would be. Imagine how the world would be. So I read this morning, I read Hosea, and I read about the story of Gomer, because really in the Bible, the story you would think is not about her, but it's about her. It's about her. In her overcoming, her accomplishment, her goals, because what she came from and who she is at the end is powerful. And it's what we have to look at in ourselves. I know where I come from. And in my childhood, I wasn't abused. I wasn't sexually abused. I wasn't mentally abused. I wasn't physically abused. I had none of that. My parents were busy working, that 4 children in a home, not middle income, but they were providers, and so they were working. And I wasn't laid by the wayside, but it's kind of like too busy to notice. It was too busy to notice. So I kind of was hung to do, I had too much free time. Bottom line, I had too much free time to do my own thing. And so I was doing my own thing. And I found myself looking for love in places that I shouldn't have been looking for love in. My confidence was low. My self-esteem was low. And as I got older, that manifested more and more and more, until I got old enough one day to realize you are more than what you're giving yourself. And that's what woke me up. It wasn't what other people was giving me that made me realize it. It was what I was giving me that made me realize it. And I was more than what I was giving myself. See, I allowed other people to use me because I didn't have in me what should have been there in the beginning. Not for any other reason, but God planned it that way. I wouldn't be able to be here today sharing this and helping other people if I hadn't gone through. And I went through, and I came out on the other side. And on today, I can say, I am who He calls me. I am not my shame. I am not my past. I am who He calls me. See, that's the difference. When you know, it doesn't matter when somebody else tries to throw your past in your face. It doesn't matter when people remember when. That doesn't matter. See, because on today, I am who He calls me, and He calls me by my name. And that's all that matters. That's the bottom line. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, because I know who I am, and you should know who you are. And so you should get to know yourself, and you should love yourself, and you should find out your likes and your dislikes. And you should know that when you're ready to go, it's okay to go. And if you want to stay and give it a little bit longer, it's okay to do that. See, everything that you want to do, it's okay for you to do, because you have to deal with the consequences. You have to deal with the suffering and pain. You have to seek out the answers for yourself. Nobody can give them to you. You have to seek out those answers for yourself. A peace of mind is a wonderful thing. When you can lay down at night and close your eyes and truly be at peace, because you know that you've given it your all, and you know that you have poured into yourself wholeheartedly, 100%, in order to give back. Because at the bottom line, whatever we go through is to give back and share with somebody else so they can get through. That's all it's about. If you can't do that one way or another, whether it's in private with one person, whether it's public, whether it's social media, however you do it, as long as you're giving back so the next person coming up behind you can come on, then you've hit it. You're on the right track. That's when you hit it. I can't say how many times I've reached out to people, not knowing them personally, but I have My following on social media is pretty big. And so when I see somebody, and I don't do it with everybody, but sometimes I'll see a post and I'll say, I'm going to reach out. And it's not me, it's God, because I really don't. Everybody have their own. Everybody have their own. But I know it's something that needs to be done, and I'll reach out and say, hey, God is praying. God is for you. Prayers are with you. Whatever is put on me to say to them at that time, I'll hit that inbox and I'll say it. Like I said, I don't do it every time. It's not for everybody. It's when I'm directed to do it, because some people don't take it lightly, especially when they don't know you personally and you don't know them personally. They can come off as, who does she think she is? And that's never the intent. The intent is always to be a light in a dark place. You want to be a light in a dark place, and you have to sometimes be your own light in a dark place, and that can become very hard to be somebody else's light when you're being your own light at the same time. But know this, when you have found all of you and you have catered and cared to all of you, there's nothing like it. I come home from work now and I have a 2,500 square feet house. And I sit here in the quiet. I don't turn on the TV. I don't turn on music. I don't open a book. I calm my mind and I sit here in the quiet. And sometimes before I realize it, it's 3 hours. But that 3 hours of time of meditation and restoring self is so worth it. It's so worth it. So take care of yourself. Bottom line, take care of yourself, love on yourself, and know that you are who He calls you to be. He calls you by your name and not your shame. He loves you 100% and wholeheartedly. And when you come through your journey and figure out who you are and you love you, nothing but the world can shine. Nothing but the world can shine. So I'll say it again. He calls you by your name and not your shame. And that statement right there led me to be right here. And so I'm sorry I had to break up and do two separate videos, but my iPad kind of kicked out on me for a second there. But we're going to get it together, and I will be back more often. Like I said, I'm getting my new space together. I'm loving the daylight, so I might just do these in the morning because the daylight is giving me life. I love the natural light. And I hope everyone has a blessed life experience. Until next time, I am Keisha, the life coach, spiritual life coach, motivation, uplifting, encouraging women, spiritual life coach. Y'all have a great one.